And we're on the second page of the 15.1 notes. So we're going to look at a different type of bar graph on this one. So if you look at our frequency table, you'll see that the data is a little different. We have a range of numbers. So this is weight of newborns in pounds. And so what happens on these is anything in this category, well, let's pick a different category. Let's say we're on this one right here. So I may have something like 6.35 or 7.89. So I get into these decimal values and they range between a certain category. So what we do is we call this continuous data. So for continuous data, we will connect the bars. Basically what we'll do is our x-axis will more or less be a number line. All right, and we call this type of graph a histogram. Now we are asked to do frequency, so that means over here on the y-axis, this will be frequency. Okay, so that'll just be the number of each in the category. So I need to go up to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, and down here on the x-axis, I'm going to start at 0. And I need to go up to this last number, which is 12. Okay, and since they're separated by increments of 2, I'm going to go up by 2s. So what you want to do is you want to try to equally space this. So you're basically drawing a number line from 0 to 12. So maybe I make that 2, that 4, and I'm trying to equally space as much as I can. 8, 10, and 12. So to be really accurate, you'd use a ruler. I don't have a ruler handy. All right, so now we're going to look at each of these categories. So let me erase some of this extra stuff that I have. All right, so for our first category, we have 0 to under 2, and we only have one baby. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the 1. We're going to draw this bar, and we're going to go all the way up to the 2. Even though it doesn't include 2, it goes up to like 1.9999. We're still going to go all the way up to the 2. And for the next category, between 2 and 4, we need a frequency of 3. So I'm going to join up with, let me make this a little prettier. I'm going to join up with this line that's already here. I need to go up to 3. And then it's going to go between 2 and 4. All right, didn't get that height perfect, but that's okay. All right, my next category, 4 to under 6, there's going to be 4 of those, so I'm going to make that line a little taller. Okay, make the 6, and then come across here. All right, I'm not making my line super straight, but that's okay. So 6 to under 8, that's our highest. It's going to be way up here. Let me see if I can come across here. So this is the height I want. So this line should come all the way down to the 8. This one should come all the way down and match with that one. That wasn't my best work ever. Let me try that again. That's decent. And then it'll come across at 10. All right, and then between 8 and 10, I have 5. So once again, let me switch over. So you're reading across here to find the height of that. And I've already got one side drawn, so I just have to do the top and bring that down to the 10. And then 10 to under 12, I had 2. So once again, you're kind of reading that across, and I should probably go back and delete those in a minute. So that would be up to the 2, and that's between 10 and 12. Okay, so this is how you do histograms. You do want to connect and basically make a number line across the x-axis. All right, so let's look at B. This is relative frequency. So what that means is instead of frequency over here, we're going to put percent. All right, so if we go back to our table, let me zoom this out a little bit. In the 0 to under 2 category, I'm just going to write that as 0 to 2. I had 1 out of I don't know how many, so let's add that up, and that'll be 8, 18, 20, 25. So I have 1 out of 25 babies in that category. That comes out to be 0.04 or 4%. So I move up to the next category, 2 to under 4. That's 3 out of 25. That comes out 0.12 or 12%. Then the 4 to under 6 category, that's 4 over 25. That comes out 0.16 or 16%. Then the 6 to under 8, that's our biggest category. That's the most popular, 10 out of 25. That comes out 0.4, which is going to be 40%. All right, last two categories, 8 to 10, I get 5 out of 25. That comes out 0.2 or 20%. And then finally, 10 to under 12, 2 out of 25. That comes out 0.08 or 8%. Now, if you did this properly, all your percents should add up to be 100. So I have to figure out how to scale my percents. I think I'm going to go up by 5%. So I'm going to make this first spot 5%. Let me zoom back in on this one. All right, and then this is going to be 10%, 15%, 20%. And my biggest percent was 40, so I have to go up to at least 40. All right, so now this is going to work the same way that it did before. The x-axis stays exactly the same, so I want to keep equal distance as much as I can. I spaced them a little more than last time, but that's okay. They should be equally spaced with each other. So let's start with the 0 to 2. I know that that should be at the 4%. Okay, so if I kind of estimate where 4% is, it'll be just under the 5%. So we'll come across right here and draw that box. All right, then I move up to the next one. It's 12%. So that'll be between 10 and 15. So I'm going to come up a little bit. That looks fairly accurate. All right, and that would be my 2 to 4. 4 to 6 is 16%. So you can always kind of come across. It should be a little bit above the 15. So it's not a whole lot. I didn't change color. It's not a whole lot higher than the one you just drew. They're pretty close together. Okay, now my next one, I did 16. My next one's 40, so that's going to be way up there. So if I find 40 and come across, I'm going to come all the way up to that line, come across, and then come down on the 8. All right, then we have 20% next, so find your 20% and come across. And what I'm doing in the red line, you usually don't show that. You usually just kind of trace it across or use a ruler. A ruler's really handy for that. And then our last one is going to be 8%. So I'm going to eyeball where 8% is. It'll be a little bit under 10. Try to come up with a straight line. And these are hand-drawn graphs. They don't have to be perfect, but your bars should be roughly equal width, and they should be touching, and the height of the bar should correspond with the percentage. All right, our very last problem is a totally different type of graph. This is what's called a stem and leaf plot. So what I want to do is I want to look at the tens place. So So I'm looking at the tens. Oh, let me do that again. So I want to look at the tens place and the ones place. All right, so I'm going to take the tens place and I'm going to put it on the left. So if I look at my first score, that doesn't even have a tens place, so I'm going to put a 0. And then if I look at my next biggest, that's 25, so the tens place would be a 2. Then it looks like I jumped to 60, so I have quite a few of those. So I'm just going to put 1 6 for those. And then I look at my 70s, I've got a bunch of those. So I'm going to put 1 7 to represent the tens place. Let's see, am I out of colors yet? What have I not used? Blue, that'll get all my 80s. All right, so all of those I'm going to put an 8. And then my last two are my 90s. So for that one, I will put a 9. All right, so the tens place goes on the left, and the ones place goes on the right. So I'm just going to start on the left. I've got the 0, so I'm just going to put a 0 there. Then for the 25, I've already got the 2, so I put the 5 over here. Now when I get to the 60s, I have a bunch of them. So what I do is I write the ones place, and I separate them with commas. So when I'm reading that, I would read that as 61, and then 62, 65, and another 65. Okay, so that's how you read a stem and leaf. All right, so if I move to my 70s, I've got a 73, 75, so I write a 5. Then I need a 7, an 8, and another 8. All right, for the 80s, I have a 0, a 1, a 4, a 5, a 7, and a 9. And then for the 90s, I have a 1 and an 8. All right, so this is how a stem and leaf is done. It's just kind of a nice way to see how your grades or your scores line out without putting them into like a frequency table or anything like that.